This is going to be your introduction to the Genisys units. So the other units that are the touchscreen are the Vectra units. These are also made by Chattanooga. These are basically the precursor to the Vectras. They have almost all the same information, but instead of having a touchscreen, you have to use the buttons on this side. And the first thing we need to do, of course, is turn the machine on. And that button is located up underneath the back, up in here. And we will get a little beeping noise, and the light will come on the machine. So that's the first thing that we have to do. With the Genisys machines, the modules are actually up underneath this faceplate here. So this faceplate just pops off pretty simply and will hang down to the side. Now the Genisys, there are different modules. There are only 2 that you can put on at any one time. And what I mean by the modules is this top one does electricity, does electrostimulation. You can tell by the pictures here. It also does a handheld stimulation. And we'll move it closer so you can see a little bit better. This one over here is your ultrasound placement. This module down here is a laser module. And you can tell by the yellow laser light over here. Not all of the units that we have here have the laser module. I think out of the 3 Genisys, this is the only one that has a laser, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So when you do ultrasound, you have to have the ultrasound head in place. And you can see here, this is where we put this. And we've got flat on one edge and rounded on the other. So when it comes to our ultrasound head unit, you can see here that we have a flat area. Let me move this out of the way so you can see this better. We have a flat side and we have a rounded side. It's difficult to see, but there are pegs inside of here, or pins. And those pins can bend pretty easily. So check this out when you're in the lab. So when you go to put this into the unit here, make sure the flat side lines up with the flat side of the unit, and that we go ahead and just push that in, make sure it sits in, and push in gently. And make sure that it does get firmly seated in there. If it's not going in, don't push it, don't force it, because what will happen is the pins will bend inside of there. We had that happen on the very first year, is that somebody was trying to force it, they pushed it in, they bent one of the pins, which makes the ultrasound head completely useless at that point in time. When you're done, you just grab a hold here. Don't ever grab a hold of the cord and pull out, because that will pull the cord out from here, which again makes it useless. And you can just gently wiggle back and forth and remove the ultrasound head and put it away properly. So now we are looking at the face and the front, or the top of the machine. And this is after we've turned it on. So we've got it on in the back here. You can see we've got our different modalities that we can choose from here, from e-stim to ultrasound to combination. We also have a home button, a file button, and a back button. That's what these buttons here are for. Home will always take you back to this screen here. We also have a stop, a pause, a start, and then this round button is how you turn the intensity up. So whether you're doing an ultrasound or whether you're doing e-stim, this is how you're going to adjust the intensity. So if we're going to move forward and do our ultrasound, here's our ultrasound, and we press the button off to the side, telling us to wait. It will set to a default of 7 minutes. It automatically will pick up the fact that this is a 10-centimeter head, which is true, and it gives us a duty cycle of 100%, a frequency of 1 megahertz, and the display in watts per square centimeters. So if we want to edit any of that, we have to do the edit. Now remember, this is not a touch screen, so we have to hit the button next to edit, and that will bring up our choices here. So what we can do is we can do head warming on or off. So basically that will warm up the head a little bit before it goes on the patient, which is fine to do. Here's our frequency. So our choices are 1 and 3.3, and that's it. So remember, 1 for deeper, 3.3 for more shallow. Here's our duty cycle: 100%, 10, 20, 50, and 100. So you cannot go anywhere in between those. Of course, 100% is going to be continuous. Our display in watts per square centimeter, or in watts. Again, watts was pretty much the old way of doing it. Now we're in watts per square centimeter. And then our treatment time. So if we hit that button to edit, it will take us to this. Our range is 1 to 30 minutes. So we know 7 minutes is not long enough to do these ultrasounds. So let's say we want to do 10 minutes, and we will enter that. Whenever you're hitting this, now if I would hit the home button, that would take me all the way back out to my original choices and would take away everything that I just inputted. So if I want to back up to that one screen, I can just hit the back button, and now you can see that my choices, I still have my 10 minutes, my applicator size, my frequency is 1, my duty cycle is still 100, okay, but my time is 10 minutes. The other nice thing that you have here is you have parameter rationale and sound head recommendations. So this is just for your information. This will tell you the description of what ultrasound is, that 1 megahertz targets tissues 3 to 5 centimeters deep, and 3.3 targets tissues less than 2 centimeters, but it's also absorbed 3 times faster. So if you forget, Chattanooga was nice to you and put this in here. It talks about the duty cycle, the frequency, the display output. They even talk about the BNR, the beam non-uniformity ratio, and the ERA. Again, hit the back button. We also have sound head recommendations, and it should be based on the size of the treated area. Some suggest the sound head with an ERA approximately half the size of what you want to be treating, and we've already talked about that in class. So again, once I go to set this up, now you can go ahead and turn this up a little bit first. I prefer to take the sound head off and start rubbing it on the skin before I turn it up. And so what I would do is make sure you've got the gel on, make sure you're moving the sound head, and you can turn this up. And you can see down in here, it's telling me what my watts are right now. It's 0.8. Let's say I go up to 1.0, the same thing here. And then I want to hit my start button to start my treatment. I can increase this up and down while I'm doing my treatment, and it's telling me my ultrasound is running at 1.4. And here's my other settings. If I want to edit my time, I can do that in real time. I can also make any other changes in through here in real time as well. When it's done, when the timer goes down, it'll beep, and will stop automatically for you, but if you want to stop it in the meantime, you can go ahead and hit the stop button.